Hello everyone, my name is José Coelho de Souza and I teach Portuguese in the Department of Modern Languages and Cultures at the University of Manchester, here in the UK. Today I'm going to present my paper entitled The Pedagogical Potential of Song Literacy in Second Language Teaching. As the title suggests, this paper aims to reflect on and discuss the pedagogical potential of song literacy, originally 𝘚𝘦𝘤𝘗𝘦𝘥𝘢𝘆 𝘚𝑦𝑡ℎ 𝘗𝑚𝑢sical, in second language teaching. This concept was initially developed in my PhD thesis in 2014 and since then has been used in research on the use of songs in language teaching by different researchers and scholars. And for that, 5 sets of song-based teaching materials grounded on song literacy are analyzed to see how this concept is implemented into the materials.
To begin with, we need to have a clearer understanding about songs and meaning-making in this speech genre. In a Bakhtinian perspective, a song may be understood as an oral, secondary, and multimodal genre formed by words and music. This means that songs only exist as sound, that elements of its lyrics and music may incorporate elements of other genres, and that both are key for meaning-making. According to Keith Swanwick, there are 3 dimensions in music: materials, which accounts for pitch, duration, volume, and timbre, and their infinite combinations; expression, whether a piece of music sounds happy, sad, melancholy; and form, its parts and structure. Therefore, meaning-making songs involve 3 main competences: understanding what's being said, music perception, and the ability to link lyrics and music and recognize new shades of meaning. However, various analyses of Portuguese language textbooks, both as a first and foreign language, show that traditional pedagogical practices associated with songs tend to reduce them to song lyrics instead, a genre itself. Song literacy is conceived as an intersection between 3 different fields: literacy as a social practice, literary literacy, and musical education. This concept aims to shed light on social practices mediated by songs and other genres formed by music and lyrics, like national anthems, lullabies, religious hymns, and on meaning-making in these speech genres. This concept is aligned with the perspective of language education focused on the studying of texts of different speech genres, whether they are verbal or multimodal, aiming at developing students' reading and writing practices to increase their participation in different social spheres. Song literacy is conceived as the state or condition of those who participate in social practices mediated by songs, as well as discourses emerging from songs, and take a critical stand on them. This involves understanding and reflecting upon a song's lyrics and music, how their connection produces shades of meaning, and how a song and its music style relate to their musical community. In this perspective, both its verbal and musical elements, the social practices it mediates, and discourses arising from a song are integral to its meaning. In this paper, I analyze 5 sets of song-based teaching materials grounded on song literacy to see how this concept is implemented. These materials were all produced between 2018 and 2022 as part of 2 academic papers, Peixoto and Schlatter 2020 and Guedes and Schlatter 2022, an e-book, Cavalcante 2021, an MA dissertation, Matos 2018, and a PhD thesis, Alves 2019. Apart from Matos's work, which focuses on the teaching of Spanish as a foreign language, all other materials were designed for the teaching of Portuguese. I am now going to briefly present each set of materials, pointing out their objectives, their structure, the songs studied, the other genres included in them, and their end product. The first lesson plan analyzed is entitled Haciendo Sonar el Candombe, and as the name says, it focuses on this Afro-Uruguayan music style, which is traditionally associated with carnival in this country. It aims to foster reflections about candombe, the social-cultural contributions brought by Afro-descendants to Uruguay, and the musical and social practices associated with this music style. Because this set of materials is designed for Brazilian students living in a town situated on the Uruguayan border, the topic and music style were chosen to promote a sense of belonging and self-worth among students about their own mixed cultural background. It is planned for 9 45-minute lessons and includes 3 songs which depict candombe, candombe drummers, and the Uruguayan capital. Apart from these songs, maps, pictures, a timeline, and excerpts of an article and of documentaries are also included. By the end of the 9 lessons, students are invited to write the lyrics for an instrumental candombe piece based on the social historical elements of this music style. This excerpt is the 7th lesson planned for this set of materials. It builds on the knowledge pupils built about the social, historical, and cultural aspects of candombe, as well as its musical elements, like the 3 types of drums typically played in this music style. In this lesson, students are invited to feel the candombe beat and rhythm and are exposed to tonos negros, 𝘚𝘦 𝘗𝘦𝘥𝘢, the instrumental piece they are supposed to collectively write the lyrics for at the end of the last lesson. The first activity focuses on increasing students' understanding of the piece by incorporating elements of music education into the classroom. First, students are asked to use their pens to tap to the music beat to find out how many beats fit into the introduction to this instrumental piece. Then, they are asked to walk to the rhythm and then use body percussion to complement it. After that, they are encouraged to notice the 3 drums and sing the tune. Finally, students are divided into 4 groups, one getting to sing the tune, whilst the other 3 use body percussion to respectively play the rhythmic patterns of each one of the drums. Cotidiano, Meios de Transporte is the 2nd lesson plan analyzed, and it aims to foster reflections about means of transportation and their relations to historical, political, and social elements of Brazilian culture. As part of her PhD research, the author surveyed a group of students at a French university to find out their own interests about cultural aspects in Brazil, and means of transportation was one of them. The lesson plan is part of a broader topic, everyday life, encompassing 4 subtopics, and is planned for a 2-hour lesson. Both songs included in this set of materials mention different transportations, like buses, motorbikes, and trains, and it also comprises a comedy sketch, pictures, and a video. As the end product, students are expected to write an email to a friend about a balloon trip. In this excerpt, after listening to Vital e Sua Moto, the first of the 2 songs included in this lesson plan, students are asked to discuss 5 questions about the song itself, its music style, and about the historical background of the song. The first question encourages students to establish differences and similarities between Brazilian and French rock. Through this question, they have the chance to reflect on the main characteristics of rock in both countries in terms of common themes in the lyrics, as well as the instruments typically associated with it. Whilst the next 3 are reading comprehension questions about the lyrics, in the last one, students are presented with 2 photographs of demonstrations in Brazil in the early 1980s, when the song was written and released, to contextualize the political situation in Brazil in the last years of the military dictatorship, providing them with meaningful input to support meaning-making. The next set of materials is entitled MPB e mais o quê, and aims to broaden students' participation in social practices associated with songs through increasing their understanding of this Brazilian music style in relation to other Brazilian and Latin American music genres. The lesson plan includes 4 Brazilian songs of different genres and 1 cumbia, which were chosen due to their topic, contrasts, and their tragic-comic nature. It is divided into 3 main sections, each aimed for a 3-hour lesson, which also include a music video, a YouTuber video, pictures, a tweet, a map, a biographical article, and excerpts of an article and of a biography. At the end of each lesson, students are invited to respectively produce an oral account about an uncomfortable situation, a list of idioms related to morrer, and a short scene using money-related vocabulary. This is the first and third set of activities of the second lesson in this three-part lesson plan, and it covers the listening and comprehension of a song called 𝘚𝘩𝘦 𝘗𝘦𝘥𝘢𝘨. Between them, there is a short biography of its singer-songwriter to provide students with more information about the song. In the first part, students listen to the song without the lyrics to complete the table with their own impressions about it. The table aims to call their attention to the number of instruments played in the song arrangement, its speed, and its mood, whether it's happy, sad, etc. It also encourages students to try to understand some of the words and phrases in the lyrics, as well as to guess what musical style the song is and when it was released. By doing so, students focus on two of Swanwick's musical dimensions, materials and expression, and get to tap into their own personal musical background and experience as music listeners. In the third part, after listening to the song whilst following the lyrics, students are asked 4 questions. The first is about whether the words and phrases they understood previously are actually in the lyrics, whereas the last one is a reading comprehension question about the lyrics. The other 2 aim to promote making new meanings by putting the lyrics and music together and reflecting whether the first matches the feeling expressed in the latter. The following set of materials is simply called a multimodal interventionist lesson plan and has rap as its main topic. It aims to foster social practices associated with this music style whilst developing students' song literacy as well as their 4 skills. The reason for the choice of this topic and music style is to give voice to social groups that are often silenced and excluded in Brazilian society. It is a long lesson plan divided into 7 sections and planned for 17 50-minute lessons. It involves the study of 7 songs, as well as interviews, a cartoon, excerpts of biographies, and a newspaper article. By the end of all 17 lessons, students are invited to write a comment about rap and its social relevance in Brazil. This set of questions is the very first part of the lesson plan, and it aims to introduce the topic at hand, music and rap. The first 5 questions focus on songs, their main characteristics, and the social practices associated with them. First, students talk about what music styles they usually listen to and how they listen to them. Then, students discuss how often they listen to music and where they do so. Finally, question number 5 invites students to think of what songs are like and what characterizes them. These questions allow students to discuss their own music tastes and the social practices with songs they participate in, as well as to make use of their experience as music listeners and their knowledge of songs as a speech genre. The last 5 questions focus on rap as a musical genre and their previous knowledge about it. First, students are asked whether they are familiar with rap and, if so, how they became acquainted with it. After that, they get to reflect on the elements typically found in the words and music of rap songs, like common topics and instruments. Finally, the last 2 questions are about rappers and the importance of this music genre to their musical community. Finally, the last lesson plan analyzed is entitled Tropicália, a resistência cultural ao golpe, a vanguarda musical e o resgate da música popular brasileira. As the name says, it focuses on this cultural movement from the late 1960s in Brazil. It has 2 main objectives. A, to promote the understanding of the social commentary, the ambivalent meanings, and the references to the globalized world of the late 1960s in the song's lyrics, and B, to recognize MPB and Tropicália as key elements of the social and cultural Brazilian identity at the time. The lesson plan covers 1 4-hour lesson and encompasses the studying of 4 key songs of the MPB and Tropicália movements. In order to achieve those 2 objectives, the other texts included a cartoon, photos, excerpts of blogs, and of a novel, aim to present the historical background in which the songs were written for a broader understanding of life in Brazil during the military dictatorship, acting as meaningful input to support meaning-making. After the lesson, students are given the choice to write an email to a friend about a crime depicted in Domingo no Parque, one of the 4 songs studied, or a comment about it to be posted on a website. Here we have the very last exercise in this 10-section lesson plan. After studying songs and texts which present students with social commentary about life in Brazil in the late 1960s, these questions encourage students to reflect on how these songs and their meanings are connected to the time and place when they were produced. The first question is about how these songs portray and help construct an understanding of what Brazil and being Brazilian are. Through establishing connections between the content of the songs and students' previous knowledge of what Brazil and being Brazilian are all about, the objective here is to foster reflections on how Brazilians at the time fought for liberty and democracy at a time when their own personal freedoms were jeopardized due to the military coup. The next 2 questions call students' attention to the importance of understanding the time and place when these songs were produced, as well as to the dialogic relations between lyrics and music for meaning making. Finally, the last question reflects on whether some meanings may be lost in these 4 songs and new meanings may arise had they been written and released nowadays at a time when Brazil is not living under the dictatorship anymore. The analysis findings show that having song literacy as a pedagogical framework in language teaching may foster classroom practices that go beyond traditional practices, such as listening for filling the blanks and analyzing a song's lyrics alone. These other practices include A. Analyzing and reflecting on a song's musical elements and their dialogical relations with the lyrics, as well as on socio-cultural, historical, and discursive elements embedded in or embedding it. B. Developing students' song literacy in a particular music style through the listening of different songs and the studying of its main characteristics, its social and historical background, and its musical community. C. Comparing and reflecting on a particular music style from students' own country and their equivalent in the target language and the target culture or cultures. D. Promoting a deeper understanding of the music through the incorporation of aspects of music education into the language classroom. And E. Fostering students' participation in social practices associated to songs and their music styles. This can be achieved through the design of song-based teaching materials that include A. The studying of texts of other genres, like videos, articles, biographies, etc., on topics such as the musical genre, the artist, and the social historical context of the song in focus. B. The listening of different songs of the same music genre. C. The exposure to social practices mediated by the song and its music genre. D. The appreciation of the music and its relation to the lyrics. And E. The reflection on the song genre, its main characteristics, and the musical community it is associated with. As a final remark, I would say that acknowledging the existence of this particular type of literacy may encourage language teachers and practitioners to reflect upon their own pedagogical practices with songs so as to turn them into song literacy practices. Thank you very much for watching my presentation, and these are my references.